Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Harsh Jegadeesan. Harsh, it's great to have you on the show.
Man, thanks for having me on Uncaged. Great to be here.
Now, Harsh, you have a very cool job. He is the Chief Publishing Officer. He's also a member of the management board of Springer Nature. For those who don't know Springer Nature, it's a world-leading research, educational, and professional publisher. And so, no surprise today that we're going to be speaking to Harsh about the world of research, the world of publishing, how technology is impacting that and moving it forward, and hopefully, leading us to an era of incredible abundance driven by research, right, Harsh? So,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So, before we get there, though, let's talk a little bit about you. Harsh, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
I'm a technologist by background. I grew up in India in the early days of internet when the world really started opening up, when knowledge became abundant. Open source was actually increasing participation rates. I remember the late night coding sessions where I was, collaborating with people across the world and working on the Linux kernel. And that really opened up the possibility that technology could really bring and how great a leveler technology could be and as a force multiplier. For the last 25 years, I've worked at the intersection of technology and transformation. I spent a large part of my career working at SAP, where I was helping global companies across different industries like media, telecom, consumer goods, really across oil and gas, energy, really transform with technology and innovate and create impact. So that's where I focus for the last 4 years. I have this honor of leading research publishing at Springer Nature, and it's been fascinating. I've been having a front row seat to how research and innovation really shape the progress of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, we live in this crazy world now where we read about new innovations all the time, self-driving cars, anything with peptides, the GLP-1s, changing the way we think about health, energy being driven by things like solar and wind energy. And certainly a lot of that is driven by research. And so, tell me about what you're excited about on the research side of things these days.
Absolutely, you're bang on. Research actually drives human progress. All kinds of innovations that we are exposed to, like ordering a Waymo or being connected to the world through Starlink, all of this, and treating chronic diseases with GLP-1. All of this, the heart of all of this is research. And at Springer Nature, we think about our brands like Nature, Springer, BMC, really as platforms for progress. They actually bring global research communities together to solve real world problems in healthcare, in energy, in sustainability. So that's what is really exciting, and that's what we're working on at the moment. And I can tell you, AI is really going to redefine how science is done, and it can actually accelerate discovery. And that's what's really exciting to me at this point of
Yeah,
time.
I mean, I can only, obviously we see how machine learning is really impacting the world of business as well as just life in general. But I think as we talked about before the broadcast today, it's early days yet. There's certainly been a lot of excitement on the research side of things, and I assume that's really probably the topic of the day in your world. So tell me what do we need to do to get it right?
So if you just look at it, it's just not potential. There are very clear cases. If you take an example of AlphaFold from Google DeepMind, we also published it in Nature, by the way. It's predicting protein structures, and it's doing it in minutes, something that used to take a lot of years and a lot of work by researchers. So it's really fundamentally changing how we approach drug discovery and how we could accelerate cures to diseases. So it is getting more real. I mean, if you talk to people like Hiroyuki Kitano from Sony Research, who we work with very closely, he even believes that one day AI scientists could do work which can be at the Nobel Prize level. So it's really exciting times, and we're moving from just human scale discovery to AI accelerated discovery. And this is really important for businesses. And for me, the most important thing is, how do we get this right? And you were absolutely clear when you said it promises a lot. Does it really deliver? And for me, if you think about where AI would contribute, especially in research, and by the way, research is the largest coordinated human effort in history. We spend 2 trillion as humanity on research, 40% from governments and 60% from corporates. And in order to get this right, it depends on how AI is used in research and what is that AI built on. Is it really built on trusted data, which is peer reviewed, or is it just built on Reddit threads? So that's what would determine how reliable and trustable AI is going to be in this in accelerating research.
You know, the area of research really kind of touches me personally because my grandfather actually was one of the early. It's going to sound crazy to you, Harsh, but there was a time when we didn't do customer research, and so he was one of the early academics that did a lot of the work in outlining how we could learn about customers and what they actually really wanted. Now, the challenge, I think, in traditional research has always been that it is looking back, not looking forward. But one of the things that we're noticing now with research is that the data is being modeled and turned into this kind of predictive tool. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts there, because that's fascinating. This idea of like kind of looking at research not as something to tell us how it was, but really kind of how it will be.
Absolutely. And there is, there's a lot of data that gets generated while you're doing research. And research is also very multidisciplinary. There is research happening in different facets and different silos. And what AI could actually help us is to connect those dots and find solutions to the urgent challenges that we face. And that's what I'm very excited about, because there are researchers working in very specific research areas. And how do you really combine data, protocols, code, and different experiments that happen in different parts of these areas to actually look at research to actually solve problems than research in isolation. And that's where I think AI could be a huge play, and that's also an area where I'm really looking forward into the future.
So Harsh, I mean, I think that people that go into research, you tend to be very curious people. You know, probably, the business side of being a detective or an investigator, right? You want to know, you want to figure it out, etc. But tell me a little bit, this is such an interesting space. Tell me a little bit about where the joy comes from for you as you work through it.
For me, it's really about working at the intersection of people and purpose. And if you really look at researchers, they're looking to solve real challenges, from curing diseases to addressing climate change. And our role as a publisher, as an infrastructure, is to actually make this work more accessible, more usable, and also more impactful. And that's where the joy comes from, being able to amplify research that's happening in different parts of the globe, happening in different disciplines, bring it all together and see how it can drive solving real problems, help policymakers make decisions, help corporates and venture and capital find right research to scale. And being at the intersection of all of that is where the joy comes in. So it's really working with people, really talented people with a clear purpose, and of course using technology like AI to accelerate all of this impact is where the joy comes for me in my everyday.
I love that. And I think it's interesting because we look at utilizing these tools like AI to get to a level of depth faster, really kind of explore areas that would have just been too macro for us to even consider in the past, and pull that down into really acute use cases, it's really fascinating. However, the this whole world of research is fraught always with new challenges. I'm curious to see what are some of those challenges that you and the team are looking at these days.
I think if you look at challenge, and I'm actually going back to AI because, like I said, AI accelerating research is a real possibility. For me, there is still a catch on the challenge, and for me, it's about what are the inputs that we give AI systems. And I want to share an example, and we recently published about this example. There are researchers who tried to actually write about a fake disease called as Bixonomania, and they actually published a preprint about it. The paper looked, it looked real, and but it was not validated. It was not peer reviewed. But AI systems
Mm.
were trained on this, and they started regurgitating this because
Mm.
they could not actually look at provenance. And this is why, for me, when you start scaling AI and start scaling AI to solve real world problems, it's very, very, very important to train AI systems on high quality content, which is peer reviewed, which is actually validated by humans with human in the loop. So AI systems can actually scale. For me, the biggest challenge, and if you look at how AI technology is moving forward, I'm not worried about the size of the models, the speed at which the technology scales. I think we'd get all of that right. But it's about how trustworthy AI systems are.
Hmm.
And that's what would determine how we would adopt those systems and how we would accelerate scientific discovery going forward, because
Yeah.
trust is going to be at the center of everything that we do, and that's
That's
the
really
biggest
interesting.
challenge.
No, I think that's very interesting. It also kind of obviously limits the data sources for some of the research, because then you're looking for truly peer-reviewed sources, which I think is valuable. I'm imagining that that will probably evolve as well, in the sense that there's probably ways to expedite the process of a peer review in some form or fashion, and going forward.
Absolutely.
But certainly a lot of opportunity, but always there will be challenges that we have to explore and resolve. So here we are in 2026, Harsh. I guess I feel like one of those people driving down the interstate very fast with my hair being blown because there's so much change happening right now. But tell me a little bit about what's your hope for the future? What are you seeing down the pike?
Well, I'm an optimist. I've always been one. There are a lot of doomsday theories about AI and robots taking over. I mean, those are good on the movies, but I'm a real optimist, and I believe that it could be a true positive amplifier technology, and especially AI. It would transform a lot of industries. It would definitely accelerate scientific discovery and help us solve problems. But I think we need to get it right. And that's the most important thing. And for me, the way to get it right is we need to start prioritizing trust, attribution, explainability in AI, and credibility on which AI is built. And like I said, AI is not going to be really judged on how intelligent it is, it's going to be judged on how trustworthy it is. So as I look forward into the future, if we get it right, we're going to accelerate progress. And I'm incredibly privileged to have a front row seat and also shape this a bit going forward.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, Harsh, it's been amazing speaking with you. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team at Springer Nature are working on, where's the best place to find you?
Well, LinkedIn is a good place to connect. I would also recommend subscribing to our Nature Briefing newsletter, where you could stay on top of cutting edge breakthrough innovations that are driving our progress. So, LinkedIn, just connect with me, and you will see me post a lot about how research is shaping the future, and subscribe to our Nature Briefings.
Excellent. Well, Harsh, thank you again for being on the Uncaged show. We've been speaking with Harsh Jegadeesan. He is the Chief Publishing Officer. He's also a member of the management board at Springer Nature. For those that don't know Springer Nature, it's an extremely important publication in the world in terms of leading research, educational, and professional publishing. And so, definitely, please take a look at what Harsh and the team are working on. We've been talking today really about the state of research and really kind of where it is utilizing machine learning, how it is utilizing it, the opportunities and the challenges going forward. I love talking to Harsh because he is an optimist. He's making me feel good about the future. And I can see how we are going to be shaping a much more exciting world going forward. Harsh, thanks again, and we look forward to having you
Thanks for
back.
having me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Cheers.